Sandhagen, possibly the next contender for Merab Dvalishvili. Is that what you're hearing, Cory?
Yes and no. They haven't given me like a definitive yes, but I mean, it's kind of got to be. All the media is kind of behind it, and then just the broadcasting after the O'Malley Merab. I mean,
they're kind of locked it, right, to get to be.
Seems like it. Yeah, they're kind of telling me without telling me. By that is my interpretation.
Jan got booked, so
Jan's booked. Yeah, so yeah.
When are we thinking? Like, can we start with a season or a month? What kind of a hint can you give us?
I think at the end of the year would be great.
December,
I think that, I would love that. I saw Merab at the PI the other day. He was like, "When are we fighting?" And I was like, "I don't know, man. You're the champ. You tell me." So yeah, all
big ones. New York, November.
I'd rather
December, Vegas.
I'd rather fight in Vegas than New York.
Why is that?
Because the state tax in New York is insane.
Yeah.
You know, I know that that's kind of a silly thing, but when like the state tax is in the double digits, you gotta.
What if it was even keel? Isn't there something great about Madison Square Garden?
I mean, Madison Square Garden kind of balances it out a little bit, so I'm not gonna bitch about it either way.
Yeah. All right. So obviously this guy's pretty phenomenal. We got to give him his due. The cardio, the pace, he's nonstop. How do you get someone to replicate that? Usually fighters they import other guys to give them something like that. Where do you start with that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get a couple of Merab looks. All of my rounds I do in sparring are either just 2 rounds in a row with a guy and then a fresh new guy anyways. So I hardly ever do more than 3 rounds in a row with anyone. So
young collegiate wrestlers or you want MMA guys?
MMA guys. Collegiate wrestling is okay, but it's not the same sport at all. It's just not the same thing. The shots are different. The way people do things is way different. So it'll just be a lot of MMA guys that are like that. The unfortunate part about fighting guys from other countries is they're all homies with each other, so you don't get to be like, there's probably not gonna be a lot of Georgian guys signing up to help you win the fight. So we'll just find that look.
All right. Well, one advantage you have is you train at altitude, so I don't think anyone's ever questioned your cardio.
Sure.
But have you been able to, as you get older, you get more aches and pains probably, but more experience? How do you balance the two?
No, honestly, I think that's so I don't know. There's kind of a trade-off. Like, as more experience you get or whatever, I mean, I meet the right people, you know, like the more experience you get, you meet the better people. So honestly, my body feels like it moves better than it did 10 years ago, just because the amount of like resources I have to spend on good body workers, physical therapists, and strength and conditioning people. I mean, I honestly feel better than like 10 years ago. I don't have like a kid mind. Like, I'm not trying to go in and fucking get some every day, like in sparring like I used to. But I saved those days now. But no, my body's fine. I feel like I get it worked on a ton. I take good care of it. So.
At the end of the day, does it just come down to being better than him? Or do you look at his game and say, I see some holes?
I mean, everyone has holes. I'm going to be better than him. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and I'm just going to be better everywhere. I'm not going to be afraid to wrestle him. I'm not going to buy into the narrative that Merab's this unbeatable thing. In all of his fights, he's had moments where he looks beatable. And I'm going to go out there and make Merab deal with me.
To kind of piggyback off of what he is saying, is this prime Cory Sandhagen like the best we've ever fought in this sport right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, yeah, I'm really good right now. I train a lot, man. Like, I train a lot. And that pays off after a long enough time. You know, I know that everyone says that they train a lot, but I know what the fuck they mean when they say that, and I know what I mean when I say it. And I train a lot. I'm always getting better. I'm always adding new things. Part of one of my favorite parts about the sport is like coming out and adding new weapons to my thing. And I know that not everyone's like that, but I'm built that way. So yeah, I'm pumped. I get to go out and look different in 6 months or whenever it is that we fight and be the best version of myself and a world champ.
When you saw Merab or any fighter, can you kind of get a read just talking to him? Like, is there anything that ever stands out? Like, hey, this guy's a lot shorter than I thought, or he looks a little afraid, or why's he asking me this? You ever get that feeling when you're around fighters, and did you get anything when you were around them?
Yes and no. I don't read into any of that. Like, and I mean, there's some guys that aren't good competitors that like you can kind of bully in like subtle ways, but there's guys that you can, and like I'm not a guy that you can. Merab doesn't take me as a guy that you can either. So, I mean, there's a level of like, hey, I'm gonna do this to intimidate this person, but in my eyes, it's like if you're not good enough to like be level-headed and let people say shit and not let it bother you, then you got other problems outside that anyway. So I don't take Merab as a guy that I'm going to be able to shake up. Not that that's my style anyways, but he's not going to be afraid. I'm not going to be afraid either, and that's what really good competitors do.
Two-part question. Is your division the best division in the UFC? And does it, because a lot of people feel that way, does it feel like it's now or never? Because it's so hard to find your way back up.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us have kind of fought each other a bunch. So we're kind of weeding each other out a little bit. Seems like some guys that they try to build up, it either works or it doesn't work. So I think 35 is super exciting. I think it's awesome. I'm grateful to be a part of one of the most exciting weight classes in the sport right now. I think 55's always been interesting. 170 is super interesting now, just with Islam moving up. And heavyweight's going to be interesting now that Tom gets to kind of go on his run. So I think there's a lot of really awesome divisions. But 135, I think, is really special and unique in that, like, the depth of talent is larger than the other ones for sure.
If I tried to fist bump you for 135ers, would you fist bump or would you be like, bro, you're nowhere near 135?
What do you mean? For you, you might be a 35. What are you weighing right now? What are you weighing right now? 235.
Unfortunately, we're all out of time.
Yeah. No, all right. I think you're being a little generous with heavyweights are interesting. We're only about 5 good ones. Let's relax on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that deep, but it's nice that Tom will actually be able to go on his run now, you know? Yeah.
But you guys are deep.
Yeah, we got a deep division. Yeah, it's fun. I think it's more fun to have a really competitive weight class than it is to have like one guy that's just crushing. But those ones are kind of unique in their own way. I mean, we'll see how Tom does.
All right, last one for me, and I think we're done. And we appreciate you stopping by. This one's I'm glad you said you have thick skin and you could take a little criticism for heat. I want to ask you something. In the Umar fight, I think between rounds 4 and 5, your corner's trying to set you up, and you say, "I'm trying, man." Right? Were you broken at that point? And if so, or if you weren't, how do you make sure? Or what would you tell us to say, I'm better than that Cory Sandhagen about a year ago?
No, you can't. I wasn't broken. It was just that I was frustrated in that what I was trying to do wasn't working. And I was trying like different stuff, you know, the whole fight. And yeah, in between 4 and 5, that wasn't me breaking. That was just me being like, yeah, what the fuck? None of this shit is working, you know?
Yeah.
I kept trying. Even in round 5, I was like, fuck it, I got to do something. So I even like spent some time on my back going for submissions and stuff. So you're not going to break me in 25 minutes. Like, I know where my breaking point is, and it's not 25 minutes. It's far past 25 minutes. I've been in some heaters of fights with like some really good guys, and you know, you could break me, but it's going to take you longer than an MMA fight's going to take.
And you won since then, so you're definitely better than you were a year ago.
Sure, yeah.
Mentally and physically, because it seems like this high level, this is just as important as these.
Yeah, it's like a constant flux of balance, you know, and yeah, I'm the best I've ever been for sure.
Wearing the belt is super cool, but walking around, I see a lot of guys that are in the Hall of Fame. Do you think of that too?
I'll be in the Hall of Fame for sure.
I love that fucking confidence.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely be. I got 4 more years in the sport, you know, like.
You want to do like Lawler, fight, and the regular individual one? He's in the fight week. Yeah. He's fighting with Rory McDonald, but he also did it on his own accolades. You want to do something like that?
I think so.
You have to be in one of them bars. It takes life.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I plan on being in the Hall of Fame. I plan on being a champ.
I love hearing that.
I mean, man, I got 4 more years left in the sport. I feel like I'm just really getting started, and I feel like after you win the belt, that's really when your career starts. So I don't even see me as like getting started yet.
We end with that. That was awesome.